But the first step I want to show you here with what Jesus says, it says, instead of waiting and for those things, we see that Jesus, He readies us for the work. It's not that He leaves us stranded. When there's something to do, He readies us. Verse 34, it says, "And Jesus said to them, 'My food is to do the will of Him who sent me and to finish His work.'" And I love this statement because it talks about food, one of my favorite subjects other than cars. And it's just, he's talking His disciples. They have gone out. They've been on the road for a long time. They went out to find food to feed themselves. And it's just a natural thing. There's nothing wrong with what they did. They went out to get some food. Now, while they were gone, Jesus encountered a woman of Samaria. They're at the well, and they were talking about the water of life. And Jesus was explaining to this lady that even though he was thirsty and he wanted some water, he says, "I can give you something better than the water coming out of this well. I can give you the water of living life." And he uses the water as that example to say that as this is refreshing to me, as I'm thirsting, I know you are thirsting for something more in life. And he says, "I can give that to you." And he explains to this lady that, He is the way, the truth, and the life. And the only way to the Father is through Him. And he has this conversation with her at the well. And as she's understanding and accepting what he is saying, the disciples come back. They come back to the place and they have the food and they want them to eat. And as they're standing around, they're watching Jesus talking to this lady. And the questions are there, well, he shouldn't be talking to her. And they have that little conversation. But the lady leaves. She gets up and she goes, and immediately the disciples try to say, "Jesus, we got some food ready, let's eat." He uses that moment. As humans, we have certain weaknesses, certain things that we have and we feel like we have to have and accomplish. There are certain comforts and things that we allow and a lot in our life that aren't necessarily bad, but maybe sometimes these things are distracting. And when we think of how Jesus readies us for the work that He has before us, when we're getting that ready, set to go, we need to recognize that the things that we may think are so important and so needful in our life, we need to recognize that He has put something in our life that sometimes, and a lot of times, supersedes the things that we think we need. That affects our personal walk with Him. That affects our church growing and working together when we put all these other needs as in front and instead of the work of Him who has sent us to do and complete the work.